Alright, so now we want to create a while loop similar to this one here. But instead of totaling up the positive numbers that are entered in, I want to count how many consonants were entered. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a new file. Let's say for loop Python file, and let's say consonants. Yeah, I'm not sure how that's spelled, but I'll just do that and misspell it. And so how is this going to look? It's going to look very similar to the program that we wrote that counts the number of vowels. Okay, so count the number of consonants. Okay, I think that's the way you spell it actually. Okay, so how are we going to do this? Well, we need to have a counting variable. So let's have total equals 0. We're going to have a while loop, and we are going to ask. So we're going to ask for letters this time. So we could say letters is equal to raw underscore input. And in the parentheses, we'll say enter a letter. And up here, maybe we could say enter a 0 to exit the program. So while letters is not equal to 0. Okay, when of course we want it to be the word 0, so I put single quotes around it, right? Not the number 0, because we're taking everything in with raw input, and raw input takes everything in as a string. Okay, so because we're using letters in our Boolean expression for our while loop, we need to create letters before the while loop gets started. So what am I going to set it equal to? Well, I'll set it equal to the letter A. Okay, and if it's equal to the letter A, then when it gets to here, this is going to be true because A is not equal to 0. So it will get the while loop started. Okay, and now what we want to do is count the total number of consonants. So how are we going to do that? Well, it's going to be something similar to what we had previously with the vowels program. And what did we have with the vowels program? We said if letters is equal to A, or letters is equal to E, right? And so on and so forth. And we said total is equal to total plus 1. Okay. But this time we don't want to count the number of consonants. We don't want to count the number of vowels. We want to count the number of consonants. So that's going to introduce us to another operator. Okay, because what we could do here is we could say, okay, if it's not equal to Q, or if it's not equal to W, and go so on and so forth all the way down. But that would be quite a bit of work because we have so many consonants in our alphabet. So instead, what we can do is we can use our vowels, and instead of checking if it's equal, we could check if it's not equal. Okay, if it's not equal to A, not equal to E, letters is not equal to U, and so on. Okay, but this time we don't want to use OR, right? Because what does OR do? OR means if any of these are true, then the whole thing is true, and it will do this. Okay. Now let's imagine we entered in the letter A. So right here we entered in A. Letters is equal to A, right? This is not true. This is false. This here is A is not equal to, I'm sorry, this is true, right? This is false because A is not equal to E. Yeah, this is false, and this is false as well, right? But this here is true. So since this is true, then the whole thing is going to be true, and it's going to increment total by 1. But we don't want that to happen, right? We want this to happen if the letters that they entered in is not A, not E, and not U. Okay, so if it's none of them, so we don't want to use OR here. We want to use AND. Okay, and how does AND work? Well, AND works if both of them are true, meaning each of the Boolean expressions, right? If they're all true, then the whole thing is going to evaluate to true. And if one of them is true, let's say we have true false, then it evaluates to false. And if it's false true, then it evaluates to false. And if it's false false, it of course evaluates to false. Okay, so that's how AND works, and it's just like in English, right? If I say I am a boy, that's true, and I say I have 3 eyes, right? Well, that's not true. I have 2 eyes. So that would be true false, and that would evaluate to false, right? If I say I have 40 teeth in my mouth, that would be false. And I would say and I am Asian, that is true. So that would evaluate to false, right? Because I don't have 40 teeth in my mouth. And again, down here, if I say I never eat breakfast, right? That's false. I do eat breakfast. And I never drink water, right? Well, that's absolutely false. But if I say something that's true and true, then it evaluates to true. Something along the lines of I have 10 fingers on both hands and I have 10 toes, right? So true, true. So the expression is true. So we want to use and also the not operator, right? So the not is the exclamation point. So if letters is not equal to A, and letters is not equal to E, and it's not equal to U, let's keep going here. And letters is not equal to I, whoa. And letters is not equal to O. Yeah, I think that's it. Then we will increment total. Okay, and then finally what we want to do is we want to print that out. So I could print out the total number of consonants that you entered is, and I could print out str total plus sign with a period. I want to separate it with a new line, so I'm going to put a new line above it. And let's go ahead and try running this and see if it works. So run consonants, I'm going to enter Q. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to enter 0. Ooh, enter 7. So why is that? So if Q, so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this did, oh, I'm sorry, no, this is actually working. I was confused because I thought that it was counting the number of vowels, but it's actually counting the number of consonants. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, no, I'm sorry, 6, and then 7 is the 0, right? So it does count the 0. So maybe what we can do right after is we could say total is equal to total minus 1, right? Because we don't want to count the 0 at the end, right? Right, because then it takes the raw input in, they enter in 0, letters is equal to 0. 0 is not equal to any of those letters, so it increments total, right? Or alternatively, we could say and letters is not equal to 0. Okay, and of course that's the letter that is going to be equal to break out of the while loop. So and if we do that, then we could take this away. Okay, so anyhow, that's another way that we could use while loops and the AND operator in order to count in a very specific way.